Welcome to the Braddog Media Show with your host, Brady Pastor.
All right, here we are with Sam Kulikov, owner of Social Apex and KC Pioneers. Welcome to the show, Sam.
Thanks so much for having me, Brady. It's an honor to be here and glad to see you.
Absolutely, I'm excited to get into this. Obviously, very recently just met you, and it's been cool to kind of dig into what you've been up to as far as digital marketing, branding, but then also on the esports side of things. So I'm excited to dig into those a little deeper.
Same here.
Man, so I'd love to start first with the KC Pioneers. You created this, a lot more recently than I expected with where, it looks like how far it's gone already. Started it summer of 2019. Man, how has it been diving into the esports world, and what all do you offer at the KC Pioneers?
We got into esports, my partner Mark and I, because we really got focused on working with building brands and engaging with communities, and developing authentic connections in our marketing agency, Social Apex. And so we got connected with this opportunity very early on. When one of the other founders, LJ Brown, came to me, and we were, I was helping out on the Social Apex side with creating some of the initial content, like at the very launch of the brand. And, right as we kicked it off with him as a marketing agency, we were working with the Pioneers as it launched, and helped to develop a lot of that strategy to build everything out. As a sponsor, so Social Apex was a sponsor of Kansas City Pioneers in its launching phase, which was really cool. And it was our way of being able to help a company that we believed in, that didn't necessarily have a lot of operating capital because it literally just launched within those days, right? And so then I was like, man, LJ, we have something really cool to build here, and I think we should all do it together. And so Mark and I and LJ and another partner of his, Alex, who he was working with at the time, got together, and along the way pulled in Jeremy as a termine, as well as some other owners, to build this really amazing leadership group of people who came together, and really in an environment with zero egos. We go back and forth and give our best work in our vertical, right? So everybody comes in and does the best job at their job. And by doing that, and by communicating authentically, by really talking to each other and letting each other know what is our expectations, what do we need to go do, what's the next step, we were able to build a game plan to really quickly launch this brand. A large part because of the hours of dedication leadership put into developing the business plan, the financial projections, the investment deck, all that collateral, as well as the marketing. But on top of that, go out and get teams, as well as our content creators who are promoting it. So it's this super huge, multifaceted approach with more than 50 people involved. And to create that, you have to have a really strong brand and a really strong vision. So, in a roundabout way, when we launched this, the reason that it picked up so quickly was because our leadership really honed in on the vision in the first 6 months. Mm-hmm. We didn't focus on flexing. In July of 19, we weren't out there like flexing about stuff that we didn't have, or, we weren't interested in being like that and being a brand like that. We were like, we want to do this the right way. We know that esports is the future, and that we can help Kansas City become an economic powerhouse in its own right, just from esports and that generation of capital. So we were like, let's just spend the right amount of time on the brand, understand the vision, understand our mission. And then once we did that, right when we started getting done with that branding side, COVID hit, and it created this really unique experience where, it created this massive influx of attention and interest in esports. And there was a lot of different things involved in that. But the main point was that we got a lot of eyes right away, right as we had completed our branding, and our mission and vision. And so we onboarded a ton of people, onboarded multiple teams. Now we have a we have top ranking teams in multiple different esports within a 6 months period, right? And the only way that's happened is if you have a really good foundation and a really good plan, and you have people that you can count on that can do the jobs that you can't do, right? Because
Yeah, yeah.
none of us are perfect. We can't do everything on our own.
Totally. Yeah, it's all about focusing on what you're good at and letting other people focus on what they're good at. So that's awesome. Man, so speaking of the early vision, I'd like to dig into that a little more. So, during those first months, what was the ultimate vision you created for Pioneers, and how has that started to come into fruition as time has gone on?
Yeah, and I think the main vision really behind it was what we saw it together, LJ and Mark and Alex and I in the very beginnings. We really saw this opportunity of like, it's more than just about economics. It's also about, raising new champions, building a new stage, and then also more importantly, developing more methodologies for tackling diversity, equity, inclusion, as well as developing more resources and points of access for people that don't necessarily have the ability to be in that space. For esports is a sport of access. If you don't have the money, and if even if you have a computer, you may not have Wi-Fi in your neighborhood.
Right.
And if you don't, what are your, so for us, we were like, not only is this a moment for us to make a lot of capital growth for Kansas City as a community, but on top of that, we can change the world by helping young people find resources sooner, become who they are supposed to be faster, and then in the process help them and solve many different problems, right? We posit that it's going to solve depression problem, a large suite of mental illnesses that we're plagued with as young people in this day and age. And a lot of it, we believe, stems from like these kids. They need resource, they need the opportunity to test and to learn and to be who they want to be. And if they can't figure out who that even is, they can't, it's hard to get on the path to being someone you don't even know exists.
Yeah, and that inclusion too. I mean, I think esports opens up a lot of opportunity for kids of like all sorts of different backgrounds, and I feel like it's a very inclusive type of environment where if you have some skills and can hop on and play, you're welcome in, and especially for kids that don't have like an athletic background, it's also a place to get competitive, which I feel like is super important as kids, and growing up as somebody that was in sports. Man, if I wasn't good at baseball, football, I don't know what I would have done. But video games is a great outlet.
Yeah, and it's an opportunity not only as an outlet to gain skills in that regard, but also it teaches so many lessons, and each game teaches different lessons, and it's so variable. You can teach things in so many ways, and one of the things we really believe in is that stories are the best way to communicate information. And that's why we've used stories since the dawn of time. And so if that's the case, then immersive stories and interactive stories should take that another step further and induce more learning. So what is video games? Video games are immersive stories. It enables us to put ourselves into a new space and to experience things in a different way. We can change physics, we can change appearance, lots of different things. Now that can be toxic if we don't mitigate how much play time or boundaries, and there's so much that goes along with that. And to your point, a lot of people can jump on and play, but there's a ton of racism and sexism that exists in the gaming industry. It's incredibly toxic, and that's also a huge problem right now that needs to be tackled. And that's another thing, right? Like we're coming into the esports space, and I'm not the esports guru, but we have people that have that knowledge and experience, and so working together, we're like, guys, we could do something really great, and we could do it differently than some of the best orgs in the world are doing it. And they're like, they'll tell us like, okay, yeah, that's possible or that's not possible. When we aligned on that, like what is possible, it was like, we can do this. We can treat our, many organizations and people, they there's a lot of taking advantage of younger creatives because it's such a young space, right? So very many designers are not getting paid, or there's so much of that happening. And so for us, this is a multifaceted issue we're trying to tackle, which is protect the young people, give them the resources, help creatives, show people that they can be whatever they want to be, all those things. And so, but they all seem synonymous to us, right? Which is like, give kids what they want and give them what they need, and then get out of their way. Just get out of their way and give them what they need,
Yeah, no, I love that. And so where was I going with this? So would you say that's one of your unique selling points, is that, these values are important to you, and, the inclusion and like friendly environment and all those sort of values? I feel like I don't see that from other esports and video game related companies. Like those sort of values and like bigger purposes kind of get pushed to the side. But would you say that's something that's really been extra valuable that you like to showcase about your organization?
Yeah, and I think it's a testament to like getting fresh blood in the industry. There's a lot of orgs that do a lot of stuff, but it doesn't mean that it's the right way to do it. And for for me, for example, for me and Mark, we come from a branding background. And so we understand the importance of telling the right story. And so we come into esports and we're like, well, why isn't it like this? And they're like, well, I don't know, everyone's doing it like this. And we're like, no, restart it, do it a different way. And so it's that sort of like, it's that union of people that are coming together and saying, let's do this. And the other person's like, okay, maybe a little bit differently. And then we could, and it's that back and forth where we create new solutions. And so I think, to your point, it is a differentiator. We're not in the business of tokenizing, diversity and equity. That's not what we want to do. We don't want that to be something that, that's fake and inauthentic. We want it to resonate through the people that we bring, the opportunities that we show, the resources we give back to our community, our representation as a company as we go into 2021. We're trying to make it more actionable. And that's why, we're making a lot of strides, because we don't talk about stuff we don't do, right? We don't want to be fake. That's not a benefit for us. And we really believe that there's a lot of brands and organizations in every industry that subscribe to the flexing mantra, right? Yeah. But we learned and understood at Social Apex in the many years we've been in business now that you can't fake it anymore. It's not possible. So if you just do it authentically and you try and do it the right way, you'll be successful. And it's not a surprise, and it's not a hack. It's not some there's no secret. It's like, just be good to people, treat your employees well, give them what they need, have fun, enjoy your life. It seems so no-brainer to us. So when we brought it to esports, we were like, this is what it has to be. It has to be this,
Yeah, so it's great. And credit to you too. I think this is valuable in any industry or any line of work. It's not focusing too much on your competition and like trying to fight with people that, just because it's been a certain way. I think it's important to be able to find your own lane. And when you concentrate on yourself, you can just take off. So you're not like fighting with people at, their level, playing their game. You need to have your own values and stick to those.
Yeah, absolutely. And people, that comes from many different reasons and angles and, all that. But at the end of the day, people are trying to figure out how to get to where they want to go. And some people think that that's by emulating others. Some think that that's by being, their most authentic self. Some are somewhere in the middle. And then there's the people on the polar sides of the scale. But I think it's a beautiful balance of understanding that you are not people are not, we're replaceable people. Each of us are replaceable. We're not that special. We're not all savants. Like, the thing that makes us special is that we take what's around us and we make it our own, but we also are honest with who we are. So, when we take inspiration from other artists or we collaborate, we give people their props, we give people their homage, it's about understanding that everything is a remix and that nothing is original, right? Like Nas said, shout out. But on the flip side, you have to bring an authentic flavor to everything. And the authentic flavor is the new, right? You're taking the past that's happened and you're taking this new experience. And it's just a matter of being confident. People just aren't confident, and it's hard to be. I wasn't confident in myself before I started my business. And along that journey, I found that out. And I realized that once I just understood that I'm me, like this is me, like let me figure out how to maximize who I am. And if I maximize who I am, then I'm going to do crazy stuff because no one's going to be able to do what I can do because I'm me and they're not. And so we want to really show that to other younger people, is like figure that out faster so that you can figure out who you are quicker, right? So understand that you don't need to be Justin Bieber or Rihanna or like there's so many varying levels of success. Like you don't need to be Jeff Bezos to be happy. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, you're spot on. How did you go about finding what you were passionate about and what skills you had? Because that's an interesting thing. It's tough to figure that out for a while, but what was your process in determining that?
Just a lot of trial and error. I mean, I went through a lot of different positions of trying to figure it out. I knew I liked business and marketing and the like when I was about 18 or so. And so I hopped around from doing a bunch of different stuff. I worked in music. I was a music producer for a while. And, I was doing a ton of different stuff in the Kansas City hip hop scene and working in recording studios. I was a marketing rep for Warner when I was in college, just doing random stuff that didn't like, frankly. I did like some parts of it I liked, but it still felt like I was like, who am I? What am I doing? And, I was blessed. I was truly blessed to be able to start this business, Social Apex, and with the success that we've had, because when I came out of college, I was trying to get jobs and I couldn't get any jobs at any marketing agencies. So instead of, settling, I decided, okay, am I going to, try and, figure out where I can go that doesn't involve marketing, or am I just going to do this on my own? And, I don't know why, I guess what really pushed me, but I started it. And then quickly I found someone else doing something similar. We formed up together. Then we met a bunch of different people. Then along the way, I met Mark, Josie. And then from there, it just started snowballing. And, I think that I was always on to something about what I liked, but I wasn't close. I was close, but I wasn't there yet. I was like, okay, music and producing, and I like that. But then I was like, I don't know. But then I realized, okay, my previous years in music made me a better equipped video editor, right? So when I started creating videos, which I didn't do even at the start of Social Apex, I started shooting videos about 2 years ago. I quickly learned it and picked it up because I had this previous experience. And so in hindsight, as it usually works, it's like figuring out how can I look back and understand what happened, and how can I figure out a way to use that information and go forward. So then I was like, okay, I like music, I like this, I like these things. And then you try and figure out and succumb to the understanding that you're not your job. I'm not just a videographer. I'm not just a marketer. I'm not like, that's not who I am as a person. Like what I love is communicating and telling stories and building communities. That's who I am. I do that through a myriad of things, but who I am as a person, people want to put like, I'm a rapper. I'm a gamer. It's like, dude, you're a person. You're so many etches of a diamond. Like there's so many cuts to it that it's impossible to try and mark yourself and label yourself that easily, right?
Yeah, no, totally, you're spot on, man. So for the gamers that come to you, do you help them through any of that and like give them some of that life insight, or is it more strictly business?
Yeah, so it's it depends, but generally what we're trying to do is there's a wide variety of talent that comes into Pioneers. We have professional teams, we have content creators, we have just staff that run back end, staff that run broadcast productions, and everybody has different needs. And it's just really comes down to, like, we have a constant communication with our teams. Everybody on the team, I run a 15-person creative team. So it's difficult, but when you set expectations and you set time to talk to people and you keep your doors open, so people talk to us, they reach out to us if they're having problems. We have a very zero tolerant, like, hate and derogatory policy, right? So when that type of stuff happens, we've built a culture where people know, like, if someone does something, like, they're going to bring it to us and we're going to take care of it. And so that's been super beneficial for us, because when people are going through stuff, they reach out. And mental health is a huge deal in the gaming community. And so we're working on different methodologies as a grassroots company for addressing those mental topics by, hoping. We're working on, getting coaches, getting team therapists, those types of things. But of course, as a grassroots team, our resources are very thin. So we're trying to figure out how to best do that. And of course, as we work our way towards our first series raise, when we lock that in, then that's definitely a part of our plan to expand the team.
Man, yeah, that's awesome. That's not something that I feel like is usually offered. So that would be another thing that would set you apart. So say there's a gamer that has some skills and is, really, really into video games. They come to you. What all can you offer to them, just to give, like, me and the audience a better idea of what you guys do?
So again, it's a very unique situation. It's not, there's so many different positions and things that can happen, right? There's people that aren't just like, they play video games, but some of them stream, right? So some of them are streamers on Twitch and YouTube. And so we can help them promote their streams and get more viewerships to grow their brands, grow their social media, etc. Some people just create content and they don't stream, and they just shoot videos for YouTube and social media. And so then for that, it's similar, right? We're giving them assets. We're helping them develop creative materials. We're helping them develop their brand. We're giving them access to a wider audience, all those types of things. And then there's the pro teams, right? So for pro teams, there's so many different things happening there, right? There's building of resources. Right now, we can't get anything in person because of COVID and stuff, but generally there's boot camps, there's training camp stuff, there's in-person events. So we're promoting that. We're developing video content. We are locking in sponsorships, right? So we locked in national sponsors. DoorDash is a sponsor of our tier 1 sponsor. Wow. And so that, it's a big deal, right? So we're coming at it from many angles. And it's just starting, right? Like, we have only raised $150,000 in our first, like, friends and family round with one of our ownership group, members of our ownership group. And beyond that, that's what we've used to start this business. And so now we're looking towards raising $2 million for our first series, in order to develop more space for us to hire staff, gain resources, equipment, all that stuff. Because our teams are around the country, around the world, right? Like, some of my editors are in Croatia. I have a Croatian editor, an Italian, editor, and, like, people are all over the place, right? And so we're operating at a disadvantage because all I can do is talk to them on the phone. And the little bit of capital, what we've done with the small grassroots raise, we can double, triple, who the hell knows what, that up even further.
Yeah, and that's what's amazing. It kind of just started, really. I mean, you started the middle of 2019, and obviously 2020 happened. So it's like, man, that feels like it was yesterday. So what's the big 2021 goal? Ending 2020, looking ahead. What are the big goals?
I'd say, Our big goals, our big goals are obviously to win as many championships as we can next year. There haven't been any like major tournaments yet, so we're hoping for some good results there, especially in Worlds for Rocket League. So we're in the running to be in attendance there, and believe we can take that trophy, and believe that's in May. Don't know if that'll be in person, of course. That's a huge, big deal for us. We, of course, want to continue connecting with endemic and non-endemic brands in the space, working with people like DoorDash and Under Armour. It's been a blessing, and we just love to do it. Like beyond just the face value, it's so fun to be able to create with these brands and create stuff that they really love to see, and doing stuff that no one else is doing. And then beyond that, it's really just having a heavier footprint in Kansas City. We're still a smaller organization, but we're growing really fast, and we want that recognition, but not for the clout. We want that recognition so people understand what's coming, and that esports is on the way, and that we are bringing a lot of culture, and we're bringing a lot of capital with us, and that we want to do whatever we can to support our community. We want to give back. We want to give resources, access, information. We have a partnership we're developing with Mizzou for collegiate pipeline. There's so many different things we're working on, and it's all rooted in give the kids what they need, get out of their way.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. And I personally don't know of any other esports organizations in the area. Maybe there is. I don't know. You don't have to name them.
Yeah, there's a few. No, there's a few. There's no one. I don't think. There's nothing super substantial in the Kansas City metro, but there are the Wichita Wolves. There are some teams as well in St. Louis. There are also some other teams in other states, but to our knowledge, we're the only ones. But at the same time, we're not trying to be the if there's competition, if there's other teams, if there's other franchises, because esports can go so many different ways. All we're focused on is making sure that the attention comes, because if people know about it, then that means more revenue for everyone, whether that's with a competitor or not. We're not afraid of competition, because we know what we're doing, and we know that we're on the right track. So
yeah, no, that's the way to be, for sure. It's interesting too now, hearing how you're working with like universities like Mizzou. I wonder how much of what other sports leagues and how like they have all these built-in pipelines. I wonder how much of that's going to start being more and more replicated in the esports world. Because, baseball has a minor leagues that feeds into the big leagues. For football, NCAA is pretty much the minor leagues for the NFL.
Yep.
But, man, are you kind of seeing that unfold where there's a little more structure of a pipeline, or is that still like the really early stages?
I think that the industry is split on that. I think that there's a lot of people on both sides that say that collegiate esports is super, super ripe right now, and some people are, don't necessarily agree with that. I'm somewhere in the middle. I think that the collegiate esport resources are huge. Like, there's so many organizations in Kansas City alone that are doing crazy stuff for high school and collegiate, level gamers, right? There's so many organizations, like more than just 5, like more than I can just name, because I don't want to leave anyone out, so I'm not even going to try. But there's plenty of them, right? But on the other side of that, why we're doing this with Mizzou is because we don't think that it's been done the right way yet. Not saying that there aren't programs that are doing an amazing job and doing a lot of things the right way. We just think that it's difficult when we're talking about something like a video game that parents and a lot of culture doesn't truly understand, and embedding it in college, there's so many friction elements there, right? Like it's cultural. There's cultural disconnect, right? So like, you have to make sure that your coaches and people that are coaching aren't just like regular coach. They have to be, they probably have to have experience in that game, especially if they're, an older person. Not that that's a problem, but there's so many nuances to understanding that culture, right? And that's per game, right? So
Yeah.
per game, there's different cultures, different ages, different age groups, and also some of the best gamers in the world peak before they're even 18. So it's like there's such an interesting opportunity there. I think what I truly think is the opportunity at hand is not to create a pipeline like the NCAA and all that, where they're basically creating a talent combine for people to go make money. I think it's more of like esports can teach people so much, and that using it as an element in school is so important. Just the same way that like you should play sports in college, not necessarily because you're going to go D1 or because you're going to be amazing, but like to have fun and to like learn stuff and to be a part of a team. Same thing with esports. You learn so much from different games, and you can teach so many different things. So I think in my perspective right now, it's how do we build that pipeline model so it makes sense, so that it is culturally sound, but also makes sense because the parents have to endorse it. The university has to endorse it. The game developers have to endorse it. Like there's so many check marks to hit there. And then on the flip side, it's how can we do work now that uses esports as an educational tool in a multiple amount of fashions.
Right. Yeah, that's fascinating. There's so many components to it. And going back to your
Yeah.
point about the variety of games, I didn't even really think of that. But I mean, do you have to have an in-house expert in like the infinite amount of video games? I mean, there's so many. Like, how do you even keep up with that?
We one, we don't get into games that we don't know about,
Oh, yeah,
and
smart.
or not interested in.
Yeah,
And when new games come out all the time, so you have to learn, and it's always Valorant is a brand new game that's not even like they don't even have an official esports circuit yet, but it's one of the biggest esports in the world. They're getting paid. Their salaries for those teams are 30K a player for 4 people. Like these 16, 17, 18-year-old kids getting paid 30 grand to play in a game that's not even an official esport yet. Like that's insane, right? And so, but you have to relearn the game. I mean, many games are very similar, like a shooter, like for example, Rainbow Six, Counter-Strike, Overwatch, Valorant, Call of Duty, Rogue Squad. Those kinds of games are similar in the professional way that they're like 4 or 5 versus 4 or 5, defending of an objective, assaulting an object, right? So there's some similar components, but then there's like a million extra things there. But you just got to learn it, right? It's no different now. When you find an esport that you're good at and that makes sense for your community, for example, for us for Rocket League, well, then that's when you throw more money into finding more coaching resources, more educational resources. How do we get them more boot camps? How do we get them more access to opportunities? How do we all those types of things? So it's a process, right? Because if you're an expert in one esport and you lose a bunch, or that esport goes under, that's not good, obviously. So
yeah.
our goal is that Pioneers to be multi-discipline, right? So to be multiple games, so that our influence is felt in a variety of mediums.
Love it. Yeah, definitely. Is there a place that, or I guess I should ask, what channels is KC Pioneers on? Like, where can people watch?
So we're exclusively on Twitch, pretty much.
Okay.
So you can find us on PioneersGG _ on Twitch. So that's where we do our official broadcast for all of our events. And then the best place to stay in touch, because there's many different channels that stream different sports. Like we're in Halo, we're in Madden, we're in Call of Duty, and we're in Rocket League. So there's a lot of different people that stream all these events, right? So with that, if you join our Discord, which is a communications platform for gamers specifically, generally, it's where you can stay up to date with all that information. So you can get live updates of when we're going live and where. in any of those games. There's lots of different stuff happening. We have events, collaborations. We just finished up the Midwest Brawl that we hosted with Mizzou and Iowa Esports, where we had 20 to 30 teams. What I'm talking, KU, Oklahoma, Michigan, like Minnesota, like all these huge teams were involved. And we're just trying to do as much as we can because it's just fun and we love this, and like no one's doing it. And so in Kansas City, what I've come to understand is, like, as Midwesterners, sometimes it's hard for us to jump on things that are new and sexy and interesting and different. And what I want to try and show is that we could be a different kind of Midwesterners who take risks on the things that we believe in, and we have fun doing it. Because even if we fail, we're not done. Right. So we're going to get up again and we're going to succeed. So it's just an awesome process. I mean, and I think for people to watch that, and to, like, people constantly are finding us on Twitch and Instagram and Twitter, and they're like, oh my God, I love Rocket League and there's a team and I'm from Kansas City. What? And it's so fun every time because these kids really care. Like there's so many people that are interacting with us and sending us messages, sending us emails, reaching out, and it's just awesome. So Twitter is our lifeblood. That's where people can find everything about us. Our Discord link is there. So if you want to join our Discord, you can join there. Our community is always gaming together too. So that's an easy way to connect with us. All of our content creators and pro players, they play, and you can connect in Discord and play with them together. And it's a really unique experience.
Yeah, I love it. And yeah, to your point, we need people like you in this area, because I feel like Midwest and I think Kansas City in some ways is getting a little better at it, but we tend to be a little slower on picking up on the new trends. Like it always starts on the coast, right? And then eventually it works to the middle of the country. And
that's right.
So we need to be a little better about breaking into the new grounds.
Absolutely.
Man. So last question, do you need anybody for your Madden team? Because your boy's pretty legit.
There's there's no Madden teams, there's just Madden player. And we've got our guy Beast Mode Mac, Kansas City native. He's an awesome dude, and he's been doing some good stuff. The new Madden just came out, so that's been awesome too.
Yeah, I love it, man. I don't play as often as I used to when I was younger, obviously, but Madden's one I try to keep up with still. It's all-time favorite.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I've been really heavy into Rocket League recently. It's been a fun.
Man, yeah, maybe tap into that one. Awesome. So, and where can people follow you at?
People can find me anywhere on social media. I think it's just KCP Cooley on everything. KCP KULI. So I'm on all socials, and then of course I'm on LinkedIn. So 2021, we've got a lot more content coming. There's just so much more stuff happening. So we're excited to share that with everybody. And we want this to feel like people are doing this with us. Like we could not have built Social Apex or Kansas City Pioneers without Kansas City. And so we take that to heart, and we live and read that mantra. So I welcome anyone to join us on our journey, and please be a part of it with us.
Yes, sir. Join the community. Sam, thanks so much. It's been great.
Thanks so much, Brady. I appreciate it.